Alright, what's going on, y'all? So ever since I started posting videos detailing out my workouts, I've been getting tons of questions asking why I'm only doing 1 to 2 sets per movement. Some of y'all have been asking, how I've been able to gain the size I have with doing such low volume. So today we're going to talk about the benefits I personally received by doing high intensity bodybuilding rather than the very typical high volume bodybuilding approach, how I go about doing this, and then how you can actually start incorporating this into your own training. So if you don't know what the difference is between high volume bodybuilding and high intensity bodybuilding are, high volume bodybuilding is what most beginner plans are set up as. It's what most people do. Most people you see in the gym are doing high volume bodybuilding. That's where they might have 4 to 5 movements per body part. Let's just take chest. And then each movement will have 3 to 4 sets. And with each set, you'll start with, say, 12 reps at maybe 100 pounds. Then your second set might be 10 reps at 110 pounds. And then your third, if it's your top set, might be all out 8 reps at 120 pounds. So you're pyramiding your way up in weight and pyramiding your way down in reps as it gets harder. With high intensity bodybuilding, at least the way that I do it, is my first 2 to 3 sets on a movement are warm-up sets. Now, these warm-up sets are not meant to be working at all. As soon as I feel the weight actually working, I put the weight down. So it's literally meant to push the blood into the muscle to get me used to the movement itself before my first working set is my actual top set. The top set being the heaviest load. So I actually have my top set, which in the same example could be 9 reps at 135 pounds. And then my second set will be a back off set. And with a back off set, this is where I typically try to go past failure with either a rest pause set or a drop set, some technique like that. But the whole point here is that with high intensity bodybuilding, I'm only doing 1 to 2 sets, working sets per movement, rather than the typical 3 to 4. So right now I want to go ahead and I want to discuss the benefits I've personally seen by doing high intensity bodybuilding from the time that I did high volume bodybuilding. And I've done both. Back in the day when I did high volume bodybuilding, it absolutely worked. I want to clarify that both methods absolutely work, and there's been pros in bodybuilding on both sides. On the high intensity bodybuilding side, you've got people like Dorian Yates. On the high volume side, you've got people like Jay Cutler. It absolutely works on both ends, but in my opinion, high intensity bodybuilding can give you the results you want in a more efficient way if done right. So the first benefit I personally seen when I switched over to high intensity bodybuilding was more muscle tissue. Now, this is the benefit we all want to see. We want to see more muscle mass and we want to see it quicker. And that's what I saw with high intensity bodybuilding. I gained quite a bit of size when I would do high volume training, but I gained a lot more dense tissue, and I actually had much more muscle maturity come about, and I gained the muscle much quicker when I switched over to high intensity bodybuilding. I watched the Real Bodybuilding podcast with Fuad a couple weeks ago when he had Arash Bar on, and Arash Bar is a classic physique competitor who has built a pretty incredible physique, and he's done that with high intensity bodybuilding. This is what he had to say on the podcast.
It's just heavy ass weight. And I didn't do anything above 6 reps for a long time. Now, okay, I can't do that now because the amount of strength that we have with my injuries, I just wouldn't be able to last. But that's what really got me big, strong, and just that mature looking muscle.
So this is exactly what I've seen in my own training. Going all out, lifting the heavy weight rather than saving, that medium to heavy weight for your top set with high volume training is what gives you a much more denser, more mature look to your muscle. Not to mention it also increases the size itself with your muscles. Now, rather than Arash doing, 4 to 6 reps per set, I'm more in the 6 to 12 rep range. I'm more in the typical rep range for my top set and back off set, but the whole thing still applies here that with high intensity bodybuilding, with lifting that heavy weight, rather than just going in, with the high volume approach, it's more lifting for more of just a pump. It will create a different look. It will pack on a lot more muscle, and it will do it in a much quicker time frame if done right. And that's what I've personally seen on myself. I've created a different look for myself, and I've gained a lot more muscle when I switched over to high intensity bodybuilding. Now, the second benefit I saw was actually pretty unexpected, and I know some other people have seen this, some other people haven't seen this, but for me personally, I've experienced staying more lean while bulking with high intensity bodybuilding than when I did high volume bodybuilding. So I've actually been able to have more fat loss with high intensity bodybuilding. Back when I would do high volume bodybuilding, I would get a little bit fluffy, even when my diet was pretty clean. By the end of a bulk, if done right, I would get a little bit fluffy towards the end of the bulk. Whereas with high intensity bodybuilding, I was able to keep jacking up the clean calories over time and still be able to see my abs. Even though they got a little bit of padding over them, I was still able to see my abs by the end of the bulk when doing high intensity bodybuilding. Now, I attribute this to a couple things. I know for me personally, I'm burning a lot more calories in the gym with high intensity bodybuilding than when I did high volume bodybuilding. The loads I'm under with high intensity bodybuilding are so much greater. I'm burning more calories. That's one of the reasons why I'm able to stay leaner and stay a little bit harder while bulking than with high volume bodybuilding. But the other thing is too, it goes back to the first point of the denser, harder, more mature muscle, gaining muscle a little bit quicker, it's going to have your metabolism be a lot higher. At least that's what I've experienced, and kind of what I chalk it up to of how I've been able to stay a little bit leaner doing high intensity bodybuilding with high volume bodybuilding. But that's the second point. So the first point is more muscle, faster muscle, and 2 is fat loss. The third one is you will absolutely be stronger doing high intensity bodybuilding rather than high volume bodybuilding. High intensity bodybuilding is more along the lines of power building, the where you mix powerlifting and bodybuilding. It's not quite that, but it's going to be more along those lines than with high volume bodybuilding. Now, me personally, while I lift very, very, very heavy weight, and I enjoy lifting heavy weight, having the actual numbers of what's your bench, what's your squat, what's your deadlift, I don't really care about that. I never have. From the time I was 15 and picked up my first Flex magazine with Jay Cutler on it, I've been all about bodybuilding and haven't really cared about what my 1 rep max numbers are. But with that being said, it is nice to go in the gym and week after week after week be increasing on your lifts. So getting your squat up to 12 reps at 405, when you're able to do 10 to 12 reps with some people's 1 rep max, it makes the gym a lot more fun. It makes bodybuilding a lot more fun than just going in and doing 12 reps at 225, 10 reps at 275, and then 8 reps at 315. It makes it a lot more fun when you go in and you warm up with, say, 2 to 4 reps, and then your first set, your top set, is 12 reps at 405. It makes the gym a lot more fun, and that's one thing I've seen. I absolutely enjoy lifting heavier and progressive overloading every week in having pretty high numbers, rather than just going in and slogging out for a pump. But that's just me personally. So those are the 3 big things I've noticed when I switched over from high volume bodybuilding to high intensity bodybuilding. Is 1, more muscle, faster muscle. 2 is greater fat loss, and the 3 is greater strength. So if you're wanting to lift for strength as well, not just be a bodybuilder who just looks big and isn't strong, high intensity bodybuilding is not for you. You want to, with high intensity bodybuilding, you're going to be strong and you're going to look big as well. So now let's talk about how you can incorporate this into your own programming. So first off, there's tons of resources out there for you to get started. The first one that I started with, that most people start with when they get into high intensity bodybuilding, and if you've been into bodybuilding for a while, you've probably already seen this, but Dorian Yates' Blood and Guts video. His Blood and Guts video, which I believe is still free on YouTube. If it's not, you can pretty easily find it. Just type in Blood and Guts. That right there shows what high intensity bodybuilding is. Dorian Yates is one of the ones that really put high intensity bodybuilding on the map. And he would go all out to failure. And that's the whole thing with high intensity bodybuilding, is you're going to failure and past failure on your working sets. That's how you can get away with only doing 1 to 2 sets per movement, is you're not only going to failure, many times you're using a technique such as a drop set, a superset, a rest pause set to push past failure. That way, when you get done with your 2 working sets, you're done. You're done with that movement. You couldn't do more. And Dorian Yates' Blood and Guts style training, or Blood and Guts video, is a very good illustrator of that. Another good one is High Intensity Training the Mike Mentzer Way. It's a book. Mike Mentzer was a bodybuilder in the 80s he was all about low volume, high intensity training, and he as well built an incredible physique. That's another great resource. On YouTube, for the females out there, Liv Roth. Liv Roth is an up-and-coming figure competitor, and she's a killer when it comes to high-intensity bodybuilding. She pushes past failure, and she is one that I look to with my own training to try to get one more rep out. The one I've learned the most from and really built a lot of my splits around and even movement selections, all of that, is Hunter Labrada. Now I know if you've been following bodybuilding recently, then you know who Hunter Labrada is. He's a huge up and coming young guy that's absolutely massive, and he's built his physique doing high intensity bodybuilding, 1 to 2 sets per movement. And that's, you know, where I've learned a lot of mine. So I would type in Hunter Labrada on YouTube, you know, get inspired by him, and he can teach you a lot. The whole thing is, his whole saying is, you know, if a gun was held to your head, would you be able to get one more rep in? If your life literally depended on getting one more rep, would you be able to do that? If the answer is yes, you need to get that. That needs to be your mentality with the training with high intensity bodybuilding. And if you get that, if you truly can push to failure and then past failure with the proper techniques, you will grow, and you'll grow very, very, very quickly. It's just, it takes that sixth gear in the gym and that mindset that most people frankly don't have. And this is one of the benefits I've carried over from my ultra marathons, the training and the races themselves, going through those deep pain caves. That's how I've been able to carry this over into bodybuilding and really push into that sixth gear. You've got to be able to find that within yourself, have that fire within yourself. And if you truly can push to that failure, you will grow very quickly. So how to incorporate this into your own training is, you know, choose maybe your favorite 3 to 5 movements per body part. So let's say on push day, you want to do chest. So let's say you've got 4 movements for chest. You can go ahead and select your favorite 4 movements. How I typically like to set it up is I like an incline pressing movement. I like a dumbbell fly movement. I typically like a decline movement, and then another fly movement, typically on cables. That's just typically how I like setting up my chest days. When you go to your sets, you know, do 2 to 3 warm-ups. Now with the warm-up sets, you're not trying to do, you know, 10 to 15 reps. You're not trying to, you know, just push a ton of blood into the muscle. You don't want to actually be truly working on it. You know, if you feel like you're fatiguing the muscle at all, you're already done. You want to literally go and you're pushing some blood into the muscle, getting the blood really warm, and you're recruiting all the muscle fibers that are getting ready to work on your top set. And you're also making sure you've got proper form that day, all of that, before you go into your top set. Because if you don't have those warm-up sets, then high intensity bodybuilding does become a little bit more risky than high volume training, because you're going to be lifting a lot more weight. You're going to be lifting more weight with high intensity bodybuilding than with high volume bodybuilding, because with high intensity bodybuilding, your first set, your top set is you're fresh, you're ready to go, compared to with high volume bodybuilding, your top set, you've already done, you know, 2 to 3 working sets. So you're just not going to be able to lift as much with high volume bodybuilding as with high intensity bodybuilding. So after you've done your warm-up sets, you're going to have your top set. So your top set is all out to failure, to where you are legitimately going to failure between 6 to 12 reps. Then once you've done your top set, you'll go ahead and have a short rest period. And that's another thing with high intensity bodybuilding, is I prefer shorter rest periods. I keep my rest periods between about 45 seconds and 1 minute. It's rarely over 1 minute though. Then you'll go to a back off set. So with a back off set, you can either, one, just pull the weight 10 to 20% of what your top set weight was, and go all out to failure with that. You can incorporate a drop set, to where you might start with a weight that's 10 to 20% lighter than your top set. You go all out to failure with that, drop the weight, then pick up a weight that's 10 to 20% lighter than the original weight with the drop set, and you'll go all out to failure with that. That's a drop set. Or you can use a rest pause set, and a rest pause set is where you'll choose a weight that's 10 to 20% lighter than your top set, go all out to failure, then take a second, take a break for about 5 to 10 seconds, no longer than 10 seconds, and then try to get at least 2 to 4 more reps all out to failure with that. That's a rest pause set. Once you've done that, you're good. You've gone past failure. You're good on that movement. Move on to the next movement. And that's how it should roll out with your workout. Just go ahead and start experimenting with this. I guarantee you're going to see results. If done right, you're going to see results very, very, very quickly. Not only will you see more muscle tissue, but over time, you're going to see a lot more of a denser, more mature look to your muscle as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just wanted to bring you guys kind of a quick video on, one, why I do high intensity bodybuilding, how I do it, and then 3, how you guys can start doing it, because I've been getting so many questions from y'all on high intensity bodybuilding. And while this training style has been around for decades, it's still the minority, and it's still very much, there's not very much information out there about it compared to high volume bodybuilding. So if you haven't tried this training style out, definitely give this a try. Let me know what you guys think from this. I'd love to go ahead and answer any questions from y'all. So if you have any questions, definitely drop a comment down below. If you like this video, please go ahead and smash that like button for me. It really does help the video out. And make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss any future videos. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. Be happy, be positive, be powerful, and have a great rest of your day.